We've all seen those stories about people who are so good at couponing that they fill an entire grocery cart for just a few dollars.
Or more recently, people proudly announcing that they flew around the world for free in business class.
Yeah, we're not those people. And the truth is, those trips aren't really free.
They're not, because in travel, almost everything involves a trade-off. We've both been top-tier airline and hotel elites many times through the years. And in this video, we're going to share some of our personal strategies that have allowed us to travel comfortably and spend much less than most people.
And later, we're going to share a tip that most people don't think about. It's one that can save you a lot of money or miles, and it got us to a family event in Stockholm for far less than we were otherwise going to have to pay.
Our goal isn't to travel everywhere for free.
Our goal is to travel more comfortably while spending less overall.
So let's get into what works.
One thing that surprises people, we almost never fly business class. We view premium economy as the sweet spot for international flights.
Let's say you want to fly between New York and London. It's an 8-hour flight, roughly. But the miles for one business class seat between JFK and Heathrow are generally 3 to 6 times the miles needed for one seat in premium economy.
And let's be clear, we're not talking about the economy seats where you get a few inches of extra legroom. No. International premium economy seats are big and comfortable, much like domestic first class seats.
Yeah, I think they're even more comfortable than domestic first class.
When we've chosen business class, it's been because there was only a fairly small extra charge versus premium economy. On one long flight, it was only 10,000 miles more.
Yeah, it's worth that. It's just not worth 6 times the price of premium economy.
And one more thing, when you use miles from some countries, like the UK, there can not just be taxes, but some pretty massive fees that you'll be added on and are expected to pay on top of the miles. But people bragging about their free flights usually forget to mention that.
Yeah, those carrier-imposed surcharges, if you know, you know. They usually also forget to mention that those fees can be much more massive for business class than they can for premium economy, and either is far more expensive for those carrier-imposed surcharges than regular economy. Now, one of the biggest misconceptions about award travel is that points only have value if you pay for 100% of your flights, your hotel, or both. We don't look at it that way.
Some of our best travel values have come from mixing points and cash. So instead of asking, can we get this for free? We ask, what's the smartest combination?
And sometimes that's all cash, sometimes it's all points.
But quite often, it's something in the middle.
Usually. Hotels are a great example. We'll usually look at the 3 main options: cash, points, or a mix of both.
We recently were booking a Hyatt hotel for a night in Atlanta. Hyatt offers a points plus cash rate.
Generally, it's like what it sounds like. Half the points that you'd normally pay, half that night's cash rate. But that's not what happened this time.
The points portion was exactly what we expected, but the cash portion was only $30.17 for the night.
Yeah, and I promise you, you're not going to get a Hyatt hotel room or almost any major hotel room in the Atlanta area for $60 a night. Of course, we jumped on that.
We use the same thought process with airfare. For long international flights to and from the United States, we'll usually save our miles and splurge for premium economy as long as it's relatively reasonable. But short flights are different.
Yeah, when we traveled in Spain, we bought inexpensive tickets on Vueling Airlines for the 1-hour flight from Bilbao to Barcelona. And then when we're in South America, we paid cash also for the 1-hour flight, roughly 1 hour, on an airline called Sky Airlines for the flight from Mendoza, or the flight to Mendoza, Argentina, from Santiago, Chile.
I had never heard of either of those airlines before we planned those trips.
But they were short flights, modern airplanes, reasonable prices.
And using miles would have meant flying airlines that didn't fly those routes nonstop. We'd always prefer a nonstop flight over a connection.
Yeah, sometimes paying cash is really the better value.
Our goal isn't to avoid spending money, it's to spend it wisely.
Now, if you search the internet, you can find all sorts of people who will tell you exactly how much they say a given airline or hotel's points are worth. And we both feel that all of those people miss a really major point.
They do. Award reservations aren't just valuable because you're using points instead of cash. They're valuable because they often give you flexibility that using cash doesn't, especially with airlines.
And flexibility has real value. especially when you're planning a trip several months ahead of time.
Plans change, but if you paid cash, changing an airline ticket can cost you a surprising amount of money if you can change it at all.
And even if they're technically changeable, you usually end up with a travel credit and instead of a refund. And that's not going to be good.
Those travel credits have expiration dates, restrictions, or other conditions that make them much less valuable than getting your money back.
But airline tickets bought with points or miles can generally be canceled and the points returned to your account, either for no charge whatsoever or a very nominal fee.
Of course, every program has its own rules, so always check the cancellation policy before you book.
We sometimes use miles to secure flights early, especially if we're planning well in advance.
That way we know we have seats, but we also know that we're not locked into those plans. Then we keep watching prices.
And sometimes nothing changes and sometimes the prices go up. But sometimes we're pleasantly surprised.
That happened on one of our trips coming home from Japan. Originally, we booked an evening flight from Tokyo to Los Angeles using miles. It gave us the seats we wanted, and we were happy with the reservation, at least for the time being.
Then as the trip got closer, I noticed something really unusual. The cash prices had dropped dramatically for the afternoon flight.
Economy was under $300. Premium economy was around $500. Those were remarkably low fares for that route.
So we bought the tickets with money and canceled the award reservation and got all our miles back.
We think of award reservations as placeholders. They guarantee we have something we're okay with.
It also allows us to keep looking for something even better. That strategy has really worked out well for us over the years. Now, many people earn travel rewards through credit cards. The welcome bonuses can be especially rewarding.
But there's another side to that equation, the annual fee. Some don't have an annual fee while others do, and they range from less than $100 all the way to some that are approaching $1,000. And yes, that fee is charged every single year.
Now, a high annual fee isn't automatically a deal breaker. And if you're receiving significantly more value than what you're paying in that annual fee, it could be worth it to you. The key is knowing whether that's actually happening.
Before we renew any travel card with an annual fee, even one under $100, we ask ourselves one simple question. In the past year, did we receive more value than we paid? If the answer is yes,
great.
If the answer is no,
or even I'm not really sure,
it's probably time to take another look at that card.
Benefits like annual travel credits or a free room night or airport lounge access can absolutely justify keeping a card, depending on the value you get versus that annual fee.
But if they're going unused, you're still paying for them.
And there's one more thing we think is incredibly important. None of these strategies make any sense if you carry a balance on your credit cards.
Interest charges can quickly cost far more than any value of the points that you'd earn.
We believe travel reward cards only make sense if the balance is paid in full on that credit card every month. Now, you can build a ton of miles, but when you want to take that big trip, it can sometimes seem like the fates are conspiring against you.
We live in the Las Vegas area, and we needed to fly to Stockholm, Sweden for a large family event. But the cost of plane tickets, either in cash or miles, was through the roof.
So we started looking at flying from another city. Sometimes it can cost a lot less to fly overseas from a different city, even when you add in the cost of the flight to that other city.
I saw that Finnair had a nonstop flight from Los Angeles to Stockholm, and I knew Bill had some miles with American, a partner of Finnair.
The funny thing is, I almost never flew American, but over the years, several airlines I did fly, one after another, merged into American, and all those miles merged with them. And I ended up with about 60,000 miles in American Airlines. Those miles just sat there for years, but they were just enough for 2 tickets to get us on Finnair from LAX to Stockholm.
So we ended up flying on a super cheap flight on Southwest Airlines to LAX, and we walked over to the international terminal for our flight to Sweden.
It's called a positioning flight. That's a flight you take to get from your home airport to a different airport where there's a great deal for an international flight that you can't get at your home airport.
So if there's one thing we especially hope you learn from this video, is that if you're seeing expensive fares in cash or miles, check the fares from airports where you can easily get to either by a relatively short drive or a positioning flight. You'd be surprised at how often there can be a huge difference. This one's really simple. And yes, I've forgotten to do it more than once.
Well, hotels and airlines regularly offer promotions, bonus points, extra late night credits, additional miles, other incentives. But there's almost always one catch.
There's always a catch.
Yeah, you have to register for that promotion usually before you book anything.
If you don't enroll before your trip, and sometimes before booking the trip, you could miss out on the promotion entirely.
And we both made that mistake.
It's not the end of the world, but our advice is if you see a promotion with a hotel chain or an airline that you use, just register.
Just click. I mean, let's go back to where we started. We told you we're not travel hackers, and
Right.
after all these years,
We're not.
We're still not.
We didn't use complicated tricks to get to Atlanta, Tokyo, Stockholm, Spain, Chile, or Argentina.
We simply looked for opportunities and made the trips we already wanted to take less expensive or more comfortable or both.
Now, if you've enjoyed this video and if you'd like to see more practical advice like this, we'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to our channel.
Every week we share what we've learned from our personal experiences, both the things we've done right, and we'll share the expensive mistakes that we made along the way.
Our goal is simple: to help you travel comfortably, spend intentionally, and avoid expensive mistakes.
And now we'd like to hear from you. Do you actively collect travel points and miles, or have you decided it's just all too complicated?
Please tell us in the comments. We're always interested in hearing how other people approach travel, and many of the best ideas come from conversations with viewers.
If you found today's video helpful, we'd really appreciate it if you'd give it a like and share it with someone you know who also enjoys traveling.
Better living starts now.
See you next time.